Hi.
Hello.
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 I'm impressed that we didn't keep the loop going, but we just kind of all went with it. I mean, you guys went with it. I decided to finish my food. So
I will
while
be
you
eating
guys were
throughout
going
this.
like face like up in the cam, I was just eating my fucking burger in here in the corner like a shrimp. What's going on, my fellow Democrat supporters, Joe Biden stands?
Oh, just chilling on Grindr.
You would be doing that though. I feel like regardless of the question I would ask. So
That's where I live.
I don't know. I don't normally like keep up with electoral politics besides like the basics. So you can imagine my surprise when I'm walking around work and on the main TV I see Hulk Hogan at the RNC unironically, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's really like a parody of a parody. Art is imitating life, and I know. I think you said something to me, Larry. Like, it's like not that surprising or whatever. But like, I don't really know anything about Hulk Hogan, so I was just kind of like, what the hell? Why is he here?
Well, he's here because he's, despite being orange and showing orange solidarity, he is directly attached to white supremacy in a big way. And I found it interesting that, of course, in his speech, he did the typical, it's played out, but, the typical fascist thing where he says, and all you drug dealers, brother.
Yeah.
And of course, we know who he means by drug dealers because he doesn't mean Pfizer or the Dr. Feelgoods that filled him full of steroids for 40 years. And I find it interesting that I noted that Hulk Hogan would have been absolutely nothing. Would have been probably playing in bar bands and run a beach bar for the last 40 years if it hadn't been for his drug dealers. So without cocaine and steroids, that dude is nothing. So
right. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the rhetoric you get from the right wing in South America when they talk about narcotráfico. Like they're talking about black people in South America, and I'm like,
we know.
Jesus
we
Christ.
We remember the audio tape, Hogan. None of us forgot that.
I had seen things where it was like Hulk Hogan side by side with President Camacho.
Yeah. I saw that. I think you
reposted it. Like, we are so close. Hulk Hogan for president.
Yeah, and I hate, like, we've talked at length about like how idiocracy is actually just horrible lib shit, but like, Jesus, like, stop making the libs have a good point. Like, stop it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I guess we could talk about the elephant in the room. And now I realize it would have been way funnier if I just like lifted up my hair and had the Tefla bandage on my ear. That would have been a 4D joke. But yeah, so let's talk about as YouTube would allow us, the attempted unaliving of the former president. I feel like I can't go to sleep during the day because I work nights, for y'all who don't know, without something dramatic as fuck happening. Because I remember, like, I turned over in bed. It's like 3 p.m. I checked my phone. Everyone texted me. You guys text me. The Discord's going off. My mom, my brother, and I'm like, And I just opened the picture to see with him with the blood coming out, and I'm like,
God damn.
But I was like, oh, well, what do you want me to do about it? No, he did not die. Other collective. It probably would have been way worse if he did. What do you guys make of that? Because like it clearly is a lesson in why adventurism is a terrible idea. And if you're not in this circumstance, of course, but adventurism needs to be a little bit more well thought out. Because this guy did not. He dropped the bag.
What Ivan is saying is, if you're gonna be adventurous, don't be adventurous. But if you are, come on.
I'm just saying that, like, when Stalin and the gang used to rob banks, right? I like to think it was a little bit more planned out. But sometimes when I read about like their attempts, I remember I read something about like one of them tried to throw a smoke bomb at like a cop one time, and they like dropped it or some crazy shit like that.
That bank robbery was kind of overhyped. Like it wasn't all that. They weren't the Bolsheviks weren't exactly the masterminds of bank robberies.
That's when you get a bunch of TikTok stars to do adventurism, which
Some
is
Looney
essentially
Tunes
what they were
ass shit,
doing.
bro.
You got the big bomb with the fuse on it, just
all I want to see now is a recreation, like someone animate that bank robbery, but in Looney Tunes style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the overall point here is that building dual power structures and intercommunal resistance is the answer, not adventurism. But if you're gonna do adventurism, succeed.
Yeah. The reason why I don't think it was staged, like a lot of libs are saying, is because I feel like it would have been a way more of a caricature. You know what I mean? Like it was a white Alabama looking dude, Republican in his 20s, like clearly unhinged. I feel like if they wanted to stage it, they would have found a guy with like a BLM shirt or something like that, like the Communist Manifesto in his pocket.
They would have had blue hair.
Blue hair, yeah, something really like Biden written on their forehead, like something extremely on the nose.
They also wouldn't have hit him.
Right.
They would have missed. They wouldn't have been like, you know what? Let's just make it almost get him. Like what? That's a terrible.
That'd be a sick shot plan. Though. Like if that was a fake shot to just get him in the air like that, like.
It's like I had seen like the day of. I wish I had saved it because I don't remember what news outlet it was, but they had initially reported that it was a Chinese man.
Of course.
And then like an hour later, it got switched to white guy. But it like initially said Chinese.
I think the first one that I saw, it was a dude that was living in Italy. It was like an Italian guy who likes, AC Milan or something like that. He was like he's a soccer fan. And they're like, it was him. He did it. And he was like, guys, I am in Italy right now.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even there.
I am alive. 1, I'm alive. 2, I'm in Italy.
That's like some Reddit Bureau investigation shit, like during the Boston attacks, more than 10 years ago now. When Reddit like went crazy and they were like, "We found him," and like they like swatted some random guy who had nothing to do with the situation, like
the
real mom mentality shit. Now I've heard through the grapevine that Secret Service like low key didn't do anything about it until it was like too late. Do you guys know anything about that?
So I had seen that there's videos from people on the ground like pointing at the dude on the roof. They're like, "Hey, officer, he's up there, and he's just like crawling into place, like lining up his shot. He's like taking his time. It's like, you see like a really bad Call of Duty clip or something where they just cannot get their shit together. And people are like, he's up there, do something. And they're like, which is why I would say, like, I don't think it was staged, but I would be surprised if they didn't know that he was going to be there. And they just kind of like, we'll let it happen. We'll give him his shot. Because the Secret Service isn't exactly big fans of Trump or anything, right? And the CIA isn't either. That's what I would say happened. But then when he did go for it, they're like, okay, cool, spring into action, do their thing. And I based all that purely on the fact that people are there pointing him out and saying, hey, he's here. What are you doing? What's going on? How did you not
I saw people pointing to him. I heard that the counter like sniper team was actually on a rooftop next to the shooter.
Yeah.
like above, so like they didn't see him. I mean, people were definitely pointing him out. It's I don't know what their protocol is for that type of shit, because it's possible that they knew, but the videos that I saw is people were pointing out that the guy had a gun, right? And that
Yeah.
was only like a minute and a half or 2 minutes before anything happened. You know what I mean? So I mean, I don't know if their protocol is to, as soon as they see somebody, just be like, all right, cap them. You know what I mean? Or if they're like, you know, they try to get up there and stop them or anything, because you saw that as soon as the you know, the shots got fired out, it was pretty quick that he was taken down, and the pictures were of them on the roof with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know exactly what happened, but it's entirely possible that people pointed out that the guy was up there. They found out that he was up there, started sending some people up, right,
And then he just went for it.
to get to him, and then he was like, "Oh shit, they're coming," and then threw out a bunch of Hail Mary shots. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think people seriously overestimate the competence and adherence to protocol of the United States Secret Service too.
We definitely people definitely love to theorize about greater conspiracy, when usually it's like the simplest answer is probably
Yeah.
the right one.
Yeah,
Well, the crazy thing is, so like, I think most people are aware now of the cyber strike incidents that happen all over the world, where a bunch of cyber strikes, like a company that hosts like tons of cybersecurity things for all different kinds of organizations, companies, industries, thousands of them. At like 2 a.m. EST, they sent out an update, and like everything crashed. And it happened to me at work. I literally was sitting there and I watched all the computers turn off and then blue screen, and the Wi-Fi went down, and I was like, oh. So like we by the time I left, it wasn't working. We had no like connection to internet and whatever. And a medical facility, you can imagine how that's not a great thing. But the point I'm making here is the illusion of security and the illusion of a protocol, like you said. Like everyone's just kind of like, what do we do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dog, nobody knows what's going on. Just like in general, everyone's flying by the seat of their pants.
Everyone has a plan until something happens.
mm-hmm.
I mean, that, or as Mike Tyson would put it, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah. This is
Right.
not. We're in 2024. The CIA and the Secret, all of the 3-letter agencies of the past, which were somewhat confident, are not. That is not the case here in 2024. It's just not.
No, not at all. Especially with like how people now are able to communicate so quickly, like with each other. Like people can get around and circumvent security forces really easily. A really, really simple example is like the Waze app, where people like report where cops are on your like commute to work. So like people will be like, it's like low key commute commune shit. Like, oh, the police are at this traffic light, go around, and people do it. Like, you know, and it's not clandestine at all. It's like it's on public app, free. Like people are divorcing themselves from that, except for fascists. You know, like you see at the like the RNC and whatever, like just glazing up Trump and wanting to bring about you know, demise for any myconium of democracy that we have. But anyways, so like why did this happen, right? Like, again, as we know, we look at things dialectically. This isn't just like a random event. People are aware that things are getting worse. They see their material conditions are getting worse, their quality of life is getting worse. And even though this is adventurism, and we would never condone adventurism, of course, people know, even if they don't know, they haven't read the theory, they don't understand what the rise of fascism really is, the decline of capitalism really is. They do know that something has to change. And in this case, this young guy thought that if I shoot the president in the face, then everything will be great and we'll fix all the problems. But that's not how it works. Like, this is a systemic, integrated part of human society that needs to be abolished. You take out one guy, and he's going to be replaced by another guy. Like, it cannot work that way. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Fascists eat their own. Like, this guy clearly, Trump wasn't fashy enough for him, so he wanted to make a statement.
Trump didn't go far enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know. It was, despite, for me, it was like a complete non-event. Really, except for people yelling about it constantly. Like, I could give two fucks. Like, it bothered my day zero.
The memes were pretty fire though. Like,
yeah.
The one you made, Cutie, I like a lot. Cutie made a meme of the Emperor in episode 3. Talked about the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed, and he put Trump's face over him.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
You're an artist.
I had to layer the thing so many times to make it look like the hood was actually on him for the first part of the clip. And I had to tone down the lighting and stuff, but it took way longer than it should have. I planned on
way longer for a shit post.
I planned on doing the voice, He's like, the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. But somebody else made a video about it. It was pretty funny. But it just took too long. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. It's like kind of shocking how the political establishment was so horrified by this, shocked, disturbed, dismayed. Most people really that I saw really brought it up to other people to be like, hey, did you see this crazy shit that happened yesterday?
Yeah.
And then that was it. And they go back to the rest of their day, bro. Like, they didn't care. They did not care.
When someone had brought it up to me at work, I was just like, oh, did he die? No, it's fine. I'm like, oh, okay.
This ain't news, brother. This ain't news.
Yeah.
It's they don't talk about attempt. The only reason we're talking about this one is because of how public it was.
Yeah.
Right.
There's attempts all the time.
Yeah.
I was at the hardware store when I heard about it.
Where were you?
Right after I heard about it, and there was one dude yapping about it, and literally nobody else cared. Everyone working there was just like, oh yeah. People shopping are just like, oh, let me get this wasp spray.
Yeah, because intrinsically,
right now.
Right? Because
it's not until the media gets a hold of this thing and starts to, build momentum in it and tell you what to think that you start to form an opinion.
Right. And it's also intrinsic that it's not so much the politics. Like, yes, politics is what enforces capitalism, but regardless of who's at the head of the ship, or at least in an illusionary way, they still live in capitalism. They still need to buy their mouth spray. Like, it's not going to change anything overnight. But we'll see an increase in political violence anyway. Lumpy here asked me when we're going to talk about the ear pillow. All right, so I'm not a what do you call it? A wound care expert, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, if he got his earlobe shot off, right?
He got grazed.
The way. Okay, so that's even better because the ear, especially the earlobe right in the back, is mostly cartilage. It's avascular tissue, which means there's not a lot of blood vessels in that area. So, realistically, if it's been a week since he's been shot, he probably doesn't need the bandage anymore. But, he's got to come out at the RNC and have it, a nice clean straight from Walgreens Telfla ear pillow, and then you have all these fucking goobers wearing the patch on their side too was like representation, and I'm like, dang, bro, that's like people wearing the mustache man's mustache at the mustache man rally. Like, it's pretty cringe. What was I gonna say?
It's a great opportunity to shill merch, which is basically what his base is all about.
It was immediate. On the TikTok shop, like as soon as it happened, people all over the world are like, "Get your Trump T-shirt with the fucking photo," and I'm like, you know what? I respect the grind because capitalism sucks. So like, people are like, come on, we got to do this. Get the cricket out. We got to make sure it's like,
unprecedented amounts of commodification. And
and that's another thing with like this idea that we like that Trump supporters are really working class at heart, and we have to reach out to them and like look at his fucking rallies, bro. His really devoted fucking people are not working class people. Like, I saw some beach, I guess it was in Florida, South, I don't know, somewhere. It was like a beach convoy, like, you know, the day after that, that he got shot at. And like, it was like, you know, the typical thing. Trump flags, they're shilling merch. They've got a convoy of super expensive, like the average sticker price couldn't have been less than 60 grand on these vehicles. I saw several like Corvettes, like Hummers, SUV, like these are not working class people.
No.
This is ridiculous. These are fucking petite bourgeois hucksters that are his, you know, most ardent base, and Christian nationalists who also tend to skew petty bourgeois pastors. So
yeah,
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just ready to move on into like the next phase of decay. So
what other life-changing, unprecedented, once-in-a-lifetime event has happened in the last week?
Stubbed my toe.
How many times is that? In an extremely precedented event, another unprecedented event has occurred. Like,
since I've been born, bro. Like end of the 90s, like 9/11, and then downhill, like immediate. Worst school shootings, 2 massive wars the U.S. has fought, a new hot war in Europe. There's so many. Like there's so goddamn many. Oh goodness gracious. Anywho's,
ooh,
that's cool. What flavor? All right. So while Nail Dog tells us about his flavor of boba, let's talk about the political reactions outside of our podcast reactions of the Trump assassination. So we can see, this is my problem, right? This is how you know the Democrats are just a bunch of shells, and this is how you know that they are bourgeois. I mean, we should know this, but if you're a baby leftist, hear me out. So a lot of people during this assassination attempt to talk about how this is the Civil War, this is opening shots of the Civil War. Brother, the bourgeois are not gonna fight each other. The petty fascists might, you know, like this motherfucker wanted to shoot the POTUS because he wasn't, you know, being, you know, mustache man enough. But you can see here that the political establishment who's in power currently is sorry, I thought I had the burp, is pushing their condolences for Trump. But these are the same people who are saying that we have to stop Trump. We have to stop Project 2025. But as soon as somebody almost stopped Trump, they're like, whoa, hold up.
Not like that.
So this is Biden for audio listeners. I've been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. Sorry, I had to look right at my camera for that one. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. Trump's rally shooting Biden disagreement is inevitable in American democracy, but politics must never be a literal battlefield or, God forbid, a killing field. That's crazy to say, bro. When we literally just saw a couple weeks ago the police storm college campuses and encampments, some right by my house, and they just beat the dog shit out of 17, 18-year-olds, like old people. Like, how do you tell me this is not a political battlefield when you're sending stormtroopers to do the battling? Like, you guys are such violent motherfuckers. And this motherfucker too. Oh my god, I hate Obama, bro. I'm gonna just be real. I it's personal for me because
in
growing
our
up,
democracy.
because growing up, like, then I'm Hispanic, but like growing up in like a predominantly white area, like when we had a black president, a dark skinned president, there is a connotation there where I'm like, oh, like us non-white people are being represented, and I was a liberal by default, as I put it back in the day. So like this narrative that Obama is like this suave gentleman, cool president, like, but is a violent war criminal who has caused a destabilization of several nations and the killings of thousands of people. Just going to say this: there's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy. Although we don't know exactly what happened, we should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt, and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery. Yeah, fuck that, bro.
Bro, it's political violence when it happens to the bourgeoisie. It's not political violence, when people can't afford rent or food. When children are starving, when people are homeless, when people are beat in the streets for protesting a genocide. It's not political violence to support a genocide, but it's political violence, when something bad happens to the bourgeois. So
ultimately,
yeah,
all of these messages, all these tweets, condolences, emails, whatever you're getting from this, it's what's that movie? They Live, where you put on the glasses, you see the underlying message. It's just, please don't kill us.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is.
Make no mistake, when and I don't really like Max Weber, but he defines the state as being a monopoly on violence, right?
Yeah.
Marx and Engels, they define a state as being the dictatorship of one class over others. So if you put those two together, you can notice that the way that they're talking is the bourgeoisie very well understands, right, and very well believe that they have the monopoly on violence, and that it's justice when they do it, and it's not when it happens to them.
Yeah. I was lurking around in James Ray's comments. For those who don't know, he posts a lot of pro-Palestinian content. Fellow communist, been a guest on the podcast. And I saw he was talking with somebody who was like, the death toll in Gaza right now is like 150,000 plus, and it's like, yeah, that's not political 8%. Violence.
It's 8% of the Gazan population. And if you take that metric and you apply 8% to the United States, that's like 23 million people.
Which is
I'd like to see Biden or Trump defend the deaths of 23 million Americans. And be like, nope. It's a liberal goes, no. It would be higher if it was the other guy. That's why we need to accept the death of 23 million Americans. That's ridiculous, bro.
Bro, if Americans get a paper cut in another country, we send the Navy SEALs in. Like, come on. Like, I don't know.
Depends on the American.
You're right. It can't be just us wars, Right.
They only care about certain Americans. It's got to be important enough for them.
So this is VP.
If I get shot in Russia, they're not going to give a fuck.
Well, you're on this podcast, bro, so I think we're excluded. This is Kamala Harris, future presidential candidate, and probably in like 2 days. I've been briefed on the shooting at former President Trump's event in Pennsylvania. Her husband's name is Doug. That's crazy. Doug and I are relieved that he is not seriously injured. We are praying for him, his family, and all those who have been injured and impacted by the senseless shooting. We're grateful to the United States Secret Service. Isn't it funny that the Secret Service initials are SS? First responders and local authorities for their immediate action. Violence such as this is no place in our nation. We must all condemn this abhorrent act and do our part to ensure that it does not lead to violence. That's just something like I thought about yesterday. I was like, Interesting.
Hold on a minute.
Goodness gracious.
Fucking
All right.
Doug.
Nancy Pelosi, the Wakanda warrior, as one whose family has been the victim of political violence. I know firsthand the political violence of any kind. Remember we opened the podcast with that picture of her kneeling? There's no place in our society. I thank God that former Trump is safe. As we learned more details about this horrifying incident, let us pray that all those in attendance at the former president's rally today are unharmed. So this is the same lady who, remember, when Trump was giving a speech, she was behind him, like ripping up the papers or whatever in super dramatic fashion because, you know,
Yeah.
she has to show the liberals that she fucking hates Trump. But as soon as somebody went to get the guy, she's like, no. We can't. All right. So this is the communist himself, Bernard Sanders. I feel like, Cutie, you should read this in a Bernie Sanders voice.
Political violence is absolutely unacceptable. I wish Donald Trump and anyone else who may have been hurt a speedy recovery.
What a cuck, bro. My girl. My girl. This is the same lady who had the tax the rich dress at the gala, which was super cringe. This is the same lady who pretended to cry at the ICE concentration camps. There is no place, and did a photo shoot. There is no place for political violence, including the horrific incident we just witnessed in Pennsylvania. It is absolutely unacceptable and must be denounced in the strongest terms. My heart goes out to all the victims. I wish the former president a speedy recovery. Cucks, bro. Cucks.
It's like a fucking copy paste message, bro.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they all got the same briefing. I'm sure.
What are you doing here, Lumpy? Just kidding.
That's it for those, and then I have a couple other things if you want to go through them.
Yeah,
What do
go
you
ahead.
think, Ed?
I'm fine with
Okay.
it. If the guys are fine with it.
I'm cool with it.
I don't know if they know what it is. Hold on.
I have no idea.
Oh,
Oh,
I
Here
brought up
he
the
is.
Jack Black one because
Oh,
that's not
Larry
what you
had a TikTok on it.
Larry,
Okay.
you do it. You do the voice.
is there a voice that goes with Jack Black? I don't really know Jack Black very well. I was blindsided. What was
Hey, yo, I'm Jack Black. I was blindsided.
Jack Black? I was blindsided by what
I'm
was
a
said on the
panda.
show on Sunday. I would never condone hate speech or encourage political violence in any form. I'm Jack Black. After much reflection as Jack Black, Jack Black no longer feels it is appropriate to continue the Tenacious D tour, and all future Jack Black creative plans are put on hold. Jack Black is grateful to the fans for their support of Jack Black and understanding Jack Black. Jack Black.
Jack
So
Black.
I went to the fridge real
Oh,
quick,
hi,
so I
Jack
wasn't
Black.
looking at the screen. So I was like, "Is it really say Jack Black that many times?"
I don't know how he talks. So
I thought you were gonna say,
yeah,
it's like, is that
Black.
Jack Black talking right now? Did Jack Black?
No.
Like yeah, but he his partner Mr. Gas
Kyle Gass.
yeah said
Have him
something
on the
about-
show.
said something to the effect of
Kyle Gasser, if you're watching, join the show.
yeah,
Please.
they should have shouldn't have missed whatever, and Jack Black
Lumpy,
was
can we send an email?
oh my god,
Yeah, I think it was like
He was laughing
my
too, bro.
career.
it was like a birthday
He was
cake
laughing
or
when it
something,
happened.
and he just
It
said,
kind of reminds
like,
me
what
of
do you-
the
what's your
of the
wish?
Super Bowl. Of the Super Bowl incident with Janet Jackson and what's his face, Timberlake or whatever. Like it was, I feel like this was like a stage. Like they knew Kyle Gass was going to say that. That's what I feel like. But whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
Um,
So there was a Dem that got axed for actually saying the right thing.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the black women.
It's kind of
It was
base
a-
though.
it
You
was
know
a
what I
staffer.
mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, like,
It was like
all right. Hold
Dem
on.
staffer axed after saying Trump come in. What?
Can you
What?
email Kyle Gasser and this woman? See if they want to come on the show.
You want me to get this woman and Kyle Gass? Okay.
I
On
think
the
that'd be a
same
good. I
episode.
think that'd be a good duo.
Be like, what compelled you to say such a wild ass
Yeah.
statement?
Why would you say something so controversial?
Why would you
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that
so
out loud?
brave. Jacqueline, why did you post it on Facebook?
All right, and then getting into the RNC stuff. Yeah, Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't hear about Russell Brand. being
The
there.
light of the left.
Was he also on the grinder?
Whatever. Yeah,
Bro, he's such a
Probably.
goober.
he probably was.
Probably.
So that was. Do you want to see
um,
your little RNC? The 3 clips from the RNC. Okay, let me show you that.
I
This
like how
has
I
Hulk
didn't
Hogan
answer.
in it too. But the first one in particular, you guys are going to want to talk about.
Okay.
That the heroes who stormed the beaches of Normandy and faced down communism sadly say they don't recognize our country anymore.
What?
This is not an accident.
But what happened last week
I don't know.
when they took a shot at my hero
This is some fucking Camacho
and they
shit right
tried
now,
to
bro.
kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
His freaking face, man.
I mean, they were both.
Pause.
And then this weird.
Yeah.
I don't
What the
know
hell
what's
is he
going
doing?
on
That
here.
that was way worse than I
So that's
expected.
the new. Oh, the Hulk Hogan thing, yeah. But what
Yeah,
about Kim there saying that we were beating communists?
And it's interesting,
This
right?
was
Because
just
it's like
Trump.
it's like that could be two different meanings there. Because it could be what's most likely is one, they just don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and she just picked a bad guy ideology, or she thinks that the Nazis were communists. You know what I mean? Like because they're National Socialists or whatever. So,
That's almost
pretty
certainly what
cringe.
they think.
That's pretty cringe. I like how Hulk Hogan couldn't rip his shirt in like one shot, and he did it really slowly because his age is showing. That was entertaining to me. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I heard you, Cutie, just say, "What is he doing?" So basically, when that goober was shooting at Trump, a bunch of other people got hit, and this firefighter got shot in the head.
Okay.
Yeah, so he died. So Trump's gonna do something to his uniform real quick.
So
Trump's like
he's
The
smiling.
firefighter
and
in
my
question.
uniform.
like kissing the uniform.
Yeah, the firefighter in question
He, like,
had also
He does this
posted.
weird.
What's happening?
Yeah,
Alright,
the
hold on.
firefighter in
Let's
question
look
was the
at it, 'cause he
fastest
does this
POS.
weird.
Oh, okay. Not base firefighter.
With his ear pillow. They don't even give the guy's name. They just Buffalo. Like,
Yeah,
I
Maybe
don't
his
know.
name was Buffalo.
That was just some
but yeah,
random weirdness I
the
saw.
firefighter in question had posted to his social media that about Gaza that they'll get over it. The Japanese did.
Well, shit.
So
Sheesh.
yeah, so the response to that is that his name was Corey, and the response to that, the proper response to that is that Corey's family will get over it. The Japanese did.
Well, Corey's brains are everywhere, so
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, there's so many tears being shed, crocodile tears being shed for one goofy fascist firefighter, while near 200,000 elicits cheers, quite frankly, from many of these people. So, fuck it.
yeah. So other goober news that happened at the RNC is that one of the major union leaders. Let me pull up my thing here so I can get people's names, but you can open up whatever
Sean
article you decide
O'Brien.
to do.
The
Thank
Teamsters.
you. The Teamsters president was speaking at the RNC. It's caused some controversy because the Teamsters have historically sided with the Democrats. Now, while they were here, they didn't necessarily endorse Republicans or Trump, but it could be a sign of changes within the union sphere of things. Now, this brings into question because we always talk a lot in our spaces about the utility of working within unions, working within workers' council. I am a bit more of a fan, I think, of working within unions and infiltrating them than I think some of our other communist friends are. But this also shows, again, that when you don't have a vanguard directing these things with cadre members who are trained to do this, in this case, there's none of that's going on. You just have a bunch of libs, one left, one slightly right. You are going to get weird situations like this. So Teamsters' historic appearance at the RNC puts decades of Democratic support in jeopardy. The nation's most powerful labor union has traditionally supported Democrats, but an appearance by the group's president at the Republican convention shifts a Biden endorsement from given to a maybe. A decades-long relationship between the Democratic Party and the nation's largest union is in jeopardy after a historic address at the Republican National Convention, a development with political dire consequences for Joe Biden, the self-described most pro-union president in American history. Sean O'Brien, the head of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, addressed the convention Monday night for the first time in the organization's 121 years. The fiery and at times defiant remarks praised former Donald Trump, acknowledging a recent emerging political divide between the allegiances of leadership and membership. Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party. O'Brien said we will create an agenda and work like bipartisan coalition ready to accomplish something real for the American worker, and I don't care about getting criticized. O'Brien's appearance, which breaks from the organization's storied support for Democrats, drew almost immediate condemnation from group members, Democrats, and other labor unions. As the organization waits until both political convention are over to issue an endorsement, Monday's address shifts their support for Biden from a given to a maybe, delivering the president yet another blow as he continues to weather concerns over the re-election bid. We are not beholden to anyone or any party. During his speech, O'Brien acknowledged political significance of his presence at the stage. You can have whatever opinion you want, but one thing is clear. Trump is a candidate who's unafraid to hear from new, loud, and often critical voices, he said. The labor leader went on to say that the union isn't interested if you have a D or R or an I next to your name. We want to know one thing. What are you doing to help American workers? O'Brien also went after big business, name-dropping companies like Amazon, Lyft, and Uber for selling out workers. He praised Republican Josh Hawley of Missouri for being willing to question big corporations. While his remarks were well received initially, the audience quieted over time. O'Brien accused both parties of inattention and union concerns. The appearance did not come as a complete surprise. O'Brien has been invited to speak in Milwaukee by the former president and had requested to speak at the Democratic National Convention, but he had not received an invitation yet. Ann Kelly, spokesperson for the RNC, says the GOP was the only party to accept his speaking request because Republicans are the party of working families. President Trump is making lasting inroads with union leaders and broadening the Republican tent in a historic way. Matt Hale, spokesperson for the DNC, says they are building a convention in Chicago that will tell our story of the American people, including the stories of labor and union leaders, workers that the President Biden has been delivering for the most pro-union president in modern history. All right, so then we just get kind of into history here. Founded in 1903, Teamsters is one of the largest and most powerful labor unions in the U.S. and Canada. The organization boasts more than 1.3 million members and has traditionally thrown its support for the Democrats. The union endorsed Biden in 2020 and in 2016 and 2008, respectively, and endorsed Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. But under O'Brien's leadership, which began in 2022, the union has begun flirting with both Trump and a large Republican support. For his part, Trump has looked to peel off rank-and-file members, claiming that in some cases, union leadership is not serving them, despite United Worker President Sean Fein calling the prospect of another Trump term a disaster. Trump didn't lose much support among union households from 2016 to 2020, going from 42% in 2016 to 40% in 2020, suggesting his record as president didn't affect his standing among rank-and-file union members very much. And Trump has actively wooed workers in the time around as the party seeks political realignment that would bring working class voters traditionally back Democrats into its ranks. He and O'Brien met privately in January at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, which outraged many of his Union Democrat leaders and members. O'Brien and the rank-and-file members have since met with Biden and Trump at the Union headquarters in Washington. All right, so it brings into question God damn, there's more. The union contributed $45,000 to the RNC convention fund this year, marking the organization's first major donation in the right in decades. At the same time, it also donated $135,000 to DNC in December, as well as additional $15,000 in March of this year. How a missed endorsement could spell trouble for Biden. Shortly before O'Brien's speech Monday night, Reuters reported that union is now considering not issuing an endorsement for the upcoming election, which stirred concerns for Biden, who is currently fighting for political survival. Teamsters spokesperson Cara Deans refute the report, telling U.S. News that union has traditionally issued endorsements after the convention. She adds that no decision has been made yet. She says that the endorsement process this cycle is the most democratic, inclusive, and transparent has ever been in 121 years of history. To move his union forward and ensure our members' voices come first. Our members' votes will not be taken for granted. All right. I think we got the idea. So, yeah, as I was going to say, it brings into question, class collaboration, right? Where are these people? Where do they stand? What is actually going on? From my perspective, just reading that article, kind of goes back to the same thought process as the young guy who tried to dome Trump. You're aware that something is happening, but you don't have the language or the knowledge to necessarily bring that forward. So in this case, to me, it almost seems like a double down of yeah, we don't support. We're not saying they didn't actually say this, mind you, but we don't necessarily support the Democrats. We don't necessarily support the Republicans, but we're willing to work bipartisan. But because we know that the Democrats and the Republicans are, the institutes of the bourgeois, to me, really, it spells out more of we're working with the right, because we that's just going to be the consequence of not having that political theory of backing you up. What do you guys think? I've been yapping for a minute.
I saw it being referred to as pro-labor conservatism, and that may sound similar to some other things that we have over here on the left in communist spaces. MAGA communism, where you can see a trend towards basically throwing away, and this is spoken about in actually by a rogue Teamsters Twitter account during the RNC speech. They talk about it. They are saying effectively that they're throwing away all the marginalized communities that are threatened by the far right in favor of getting the most tiny, minuscule ass concessions for labor that will be stripped away and taken from them as quickly and as swiftly as it was given to them. You know what I mean? And it's an awful policy, because instead of trying to convert these people or speak to the the working classes and try to get them to realize that it's your two options aren't just the Democrats or Republicans, that you can have a state run by workers, right? A party run by workers. Instead, they opt to just say it's okay to be racist, it's okay to be transphobic, it's okay to be homophobic. You know what I mean? That it's
we'll deal with that later.
They're completely willing to give up all the marginalized communities that they're supposed to be fighting for in order to get concessions. But really what ends up happening is they concede to the right. They become right wing. They start collaborating with the bourgeoisie and the bourgeoisie interests, and they stop being communist. They stop being pro-labor. You know what I mean? They start being puppets. They start scaling the right wing.
The Teamsters has never been a radical union.
Yeah.
Right.
in its history. These in imperialist countries, these are labor aristocracy. There's no, in fact, unions like the Teamsters are a complete detriment to the working class globally. They keep they try to win as many concessions, which ultimately always go to their professional leadership. It's not that we should be anti-union. It's that we should get people that are stuck in these unions out of them and to do something else, or to replace their leadership with actual, radical, revolutionary. But here in the Imperial Core, it doesn't matter if it's not like the Democrats were protecting any marginalized groups either. So the Teamsters being stuck to the Democrats' tit versus the DNC or the RNC's tit, it really doesn't matter. They're just as much as unions of this type are just as much a part of the bourgeois class as both political parties are. They exist to quell class struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They exist to soften contradictions, and they're not going to. This is like the Teamsters thing. It was like all these things that this week everyone's freaking out like is a non-story to me. Like their decades-long collaboration with the Democrats is just as bad as if they go over to the Republicans. Like what this shows me though is that the contradictions between the two parties are starting to, we're seeing a synthesis come through where I think the contradictions have basically come to the point where I think the DNC is becoming irrelevant other than controlled opposition.
Yeah. 100%. And we can see that in their individual figureheads when they're all tweeting their support for the former president after he was so dangerously and grievously injured. Yeah. This is why, and we've had this discussion in the Discord, like, this is why, like, me personally, like, when we were discussing workers' councils and stuff like that the other day, like, why, for me, if you're going to take that route, it's imperative that this is why a vanguard party is so important, because if you have these individual spaces, whether they're as large as the Teamsters or as small as like an individual unionized Starbucks, if you do not have, like I said, trained revolutionary cadre members facilitating these movements within the party lines of the greater Communist Party, then you're going to have one Starbucks over here and Teamsters over there and Waffle House over here gets their own concessions. They stop doing the work. They're like, all right, well, we won. So, like, I don't give a shit what happened in the town over. Right. But by doing that and isolating themselves and staying within their own realms, the opportunity will come from the right wing to take away those concessions that they had just won, as Cutie was saying. So that's why, like, I'm not for that idea, because it won't work. It doesn't. The math ain't math in this situation, and we're seeing it live in 4K HD with the Teamsters.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is that unions are probably the best bet for us to try to organize within to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
It is very
I don't agree.
Imperative that I think that's fine. I think it's imperative that you take over these unions, but the reality is that a lot of people within these unions that want to do that, there's a entire apparatus that is designed specifically to get rid of people like that. You know what I mean? And you cannot only organize within a union. You cannot only be an individual within a union that tries to take it over with a couple of people with, ideological, purity and idealism. You need an entire movement, a political party, a vanguard perhaps, that is exerting an immense amount of pressure at all times. There cannot be any moment where there's any like breathing room, because no matter what's going to happen, they're always going to, especially the union leaders, the people who are making the most money, they're going to collaborate with the capitalists. I mean, if you see in Sean O'Brien's speech, the Teamsters president, he talks about all these companies, and while he does, go after them to a certain extent, right? He talks about all these companies as, just like being good because there's a union in it, and they're good because they work with the unions. You know what I mean? But the reality is that the fucking company, one, doesn't exist without the workers, and two, literally does not need Jeff Bezos, for example, or the the CEO specifically to be running it. It could be just run by the workers. But obviously, Sean O'Brien is not a communist, so he's not going to say that.
Right.
But that's because he's a class collaborationist, just like Sean Fain with the UAW.
Yeah, exactly.
You're all right. What else do we got on the docket here, friends? I can't believe it's already been an hour.
Oh shit!
Yeah, right. All right, let's speed run this. Okay, so the rumors are that Trump, holy shit, Biden will drop out of the race as early as Sunday. I was kind of blindsided by it, like Jack Black was, because, like I said, I don't follow electoral politics that much. So, like, people were saying it on like TikTok, and I was kind of like, nah, probably not. But like once I like actually looked at mainstream news and I asked the guys about it, yeah, I didn't realize how much mainstream news was like saying like, yeah, homie's like he should drop out. Like that was surprising to me.
Yeah,
as Cutie was saying earlier, unprecedented historical events keep happening. So, do you think he's just like a wild card right now, or do you guys think like is going to happen?
So what I had seen, it seems like it's very likely that he is going to drop out, because a few things were said. One, he is not going to endorse Kamala Harris to just like take his place. They're going to do, I guess, like their own DNC, what they should have done before, like a snap election to decide who the next candidate is going to be. And I know, but I do know that Kamala Harris was looking at vice president picks, which one of them is, I think, Gavin Newsom is like one of the top runners for vice president.
No, he'll be a candidate to run.
He'll be a candidate if he's not picked.
The vice president she was looking at was Bashir from Kentucky.
There was also who's that person from Michigan?
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, she was another name that got mentioned.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're talking about all that, it seems very likely, because they're not going to talk about that if there isn't a plan for him to drop out.
Yeah.
Bro, they're so fucking cooked.
Day late,
So fucking
Yeah.
cooked, bro.
billions of dollars short. If they wanted to win this, they should have had him bow out gracefully a year ago and run. Newsom would have been as shitty as he is. He would have been, if they wanted to win, like Newsom was their guy a year ago. That's what should have been done if they really cared about winning. If they cared about, keeping their party as a relevant thing in this country, and they really don't. They're gonna be like the Communist Party of the Russian Federation. They'll be around every 4 years to talk about how we need to increase taxes or something, but they're going to be completely subservient to the Republican Party going forward for the next probably decades, if
I mean,
depending on what happens elsewise, but if the political superstructure does not change at such time.
Yeah, things are going to continue to go to shit, and the Democrats ultimately are probably more willing to let Republicans in office, because then they can go, oh, well, the Republicans are the ones doing it. You have to pay us so that we can save the country.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's been the dance for the last 50
Yeah.
years, and like I said, those contradictions
Yeah.
are coming to a new synthesis, and one of these two parties was likely to become a minor controlled opposition party, and I think we're seeing it now. The Democrats are going to take that position.
And they already made that decision. And as much as Bernie Sanders is extremely mid, right? But they already made the decision for Trump, for the Republicans to win over even, social liberalism. When they chose Hillary Clinton, knowing that she was probably not going to have a very good time, knowing that her chances were, she was likely, they still thought she was going to win, but they knew, Bernie Sanders would have smacked him up. But that, they didn't choose him because, again,
they legitimately thought that she was going to wipe the floor with Trump. They legitimately thought that, because that's the thing about the Democrats, is that they are so stuck in the, even back when I was still a young lib, and I remember them, when I was
rap name.
Young lib.
And, like when I was out there stumping for John Kerry, and like the DNC back then explicitly told the crazy guy that wanted to broaden the coalition and actually reach out to the rural areas, which they had given up a long time ago, that had been part of the old New Deal coalition. They poo-pooed that back then. They decided it's our beltway. It's the professional managerial class that's our base, and that class be shrinking, yo. So
nice.
That class be swapping sides, yo.
Bye.
That class
the professional
be
managerial class really isn't swapping sides. I mean, you can see the Sean O'Brien definitely part of that. But
it's like Halo when you have the red guys and the blue guys. It doesn't really matter what team you're on.
Yeah,
you're still shooting at each other. So
yeah, fewer and fewer of these, professional managerial labor aristocrats. Those positions are just shrinking, and more people are becoming proletarianized and lumpen proletarianized from the proletariat, and the Democrats bet wrongly on being able to garner support as a base, just an urban petty bourgeois and professional managerial base, and they gambled and lost. There we go. That's my guy.
If you had told us a year ago we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given
Howard Dean. I could not remember his name.
And you know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
the scream that ended it all.
That was it. 20 years ago, that was out of pocket. And you wouldn't believe what a scandal that was at the time. And now we cut to today where Hulk Hogan is on the stage ripping his fucking t-shirt. It's
bananas. It's crazy how far cameras have come in 20 years. Jesus Christ. I'm like, 2004 looked like that? That's bananas. But
yeah,
that's what 2004 just looked like in general. That's not even through.
That's how I remember it. So
what 2004 looked like.
Yeah,
I was 22. Yeah. I remember very well.
Jeez Louise. I mean, I guess we'll see, man. Like I said, this might just be unprecedented events. If he drops out, we'll try to do an impromptu live or whatever. No promises though, because we have no idea when it could happen. All right, let's talk about something funny that I think will be a good way to end it. Let's talk about the Grindr incident.
Easy, girl.
You have the article, Ms. Lumps? If you don't, it's okay. We'll just keep yapping. But oh, I might have one. Oh, there you go. All right. So, funnily enough, at the RNC, where the Republican Party wants to talk about how they're anti-LGBTQ, like on a surface level, like all fascists are, but they also have a lot of fetishization for marginalized people. So at the RNC, there were so many people trying to connect to Grindr servers at the RNC that the app crashed. If you use Grindr these days, and honestly, who doesn't? I guess Collective does. The Republican National Convention has once again proven a prime spot to find your next faceless hookup. On the first night of the convention, July 15th, the Halfway Post sent out a tweet that said, "Breaking, an executive of the gay dating app Grindr says the Republican National Convention is basically Grindr's Super Bowl." There's the tweet. Though the account posts halfway true comedy and satire, and there's no other confirmation of this quote who said it, the tweet still prompted a couple of people to respond with various screenshots and videos showing their experience at the RNC with Grindr as proof of the selection. The age ranges and the interests vary, but all the profiles shown are faceless. What do you mean by gross, Cobra? First of all, this is I didn't see the tweet. I was distracted. Oh, it's a video.
It's him trying. It's that person trying to connect to Grindr to show you like what it was doing during the time.
Yeah. First of all, this is hilarious. But second of all, we can't say we're surprised at all. This isn't the first time that Grindr had an upstick at the RNC. They've been collecting data on this for years. People have even commented on this for months leading up to the big events.
You like get on Grindr while you're there, notifications. Ding, 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 ding.
2 feet in front of you, 3 feet in front of you. There are numbers of out-and-out proud Republicans who even go by George Santos, but even they know it's better to hide when you're in a room full of them because it's likely all the closeted ones are there with their wives. The wives know, bro. The speculation, of course, about the 26-year-old DL military guy who's taken here for a week, looking to see what I'm missing with a size 13 if it matters. Ain't no way, bro. It's probably there with someone who doesn't want to know he's gay. Jeez Louise.
So, wow, the just saying, size 13.
Yeah, I got a chilled 13-inch. It's actually a little revolting. And parenting, on the other hand, you're in the wrong industry, brother. This is the party of Don't Say Gay is notoriously against same-sex marriage. And they also have Project 2025 in the works that makes it seem like being queer will legally cease to exist.
For poor people.
Since there are so many gay Republicans and perhaps a number of them within Congress and other governmental branches, the attacks continue to come from a perspective of internal shame because these people don't feel comfortable in their own skin. It's gross because the neocons, lots of mayonnaise was harmed during that convention. All right, I understand. Just making sure because we don't tolerate the nonsense in the comments. I think the thing about Grindr, it's a furry. I think the thing about Grindr at the RNC is less anti-gay politicians secretly gay and more damn there's a lot of self-hating gay folks at the RNC, and that's just sad. That's some goddamn respect for your own identity. I don't think we should give fascists like any grace, but perhaps if they started changing their rhetoric, they'd feel a little more comfortable. But I digress. With 2 days left in the RNC, there's plenty of time for these men to get it on. And we almost feel bad for hoping there's a leak involved along the way. In the meantime, scroll through some of our favorite reactions and responses to the news that have us laughing through the ages. This is the type of dude that Grindr CEO was talking about when he called the RNC the Super Bowl Grindr. My name is Tim Shirley. Those are also my pronouns. Oh. Republican men at the RNC tapping every twink on Grindr. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube. Whoops.
Well, I guess we'll find that out.
Yep, opening Grindr at the RNC. Yeah. 19. You're a child. Get out of there.
What are you doing? Larry,
everyone done knew. Oh. Gee. Everyone done knew the sheer amount of totally blank profiles at RNC Grindr must be like staring into a dark abyss. Anyway, the point we're making here even though it's a joke, but not really, is fascists. They not only seek to build a mythical society from a mythical past, but they try to build a society that is incredibly surface level and presents itself in a way of purity of what they call I'm trying to look for the word here. They're anti-degenerate, but once you go under the surface, not that being gay is, makes you that. That's how they see it on the surface level. But when you just peel the underbelly of fascism a little bit, you'll see that all the things that these people are against, they simply want it behind closed doors. This is what happens when you have a society that builds itself on this sort of strongman, white supremacist, perfect society, utopian society. But that stuff doesn't go away, obviously. I mean, you can look into just how the amount of closeted Nazis that existed. Not that being gay made them, Nazis, but the fact that a lot of people, a lot of prominent Nazis were, but also would use that power over their fellow man, or would use their sexuality over their fellow man as a form of power. These people are fascists, are just cringe. I mean, really, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I just saw this comment that was funny. None of them are using condoms because conservatives are anti-birth control. Only for women. I'm sure they're protecting themselves because, they have the faceless profile. So, Cutie, you look like you're fading into the abyss.
The sun is absorbing.
That's not the outside.
I'm
That's
a little
Cutie's
sleepy.
closet.
The world doesn't need to know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty eepy. Any
Cutie pie is eepy.
any
I tried to
closing
sleep before
remarks,
getting on
lads?
here.
I was sleeping. No.
Any final remarks?
Let's see if we have any more. Knowing the way the podcast goes, we'll have an event happen as soon as we log off.
Yeah, that's
Cutie's
true.
going.
The second we log off, we're gonna get a notification that says Joe Biden has officially announced that he is dropping out of the race.
I would not be surprised at all, bro. Got anything to say, Larry?
Not really. Ignore 99% of this stuff. It's really meaningless.
Yep.
Build your communities, tool up,
That's the podcast, so.
and that's
Don't ignore it.
that's what you need to be doing.
Take care of each other.
Yes.
Things are gonna
Take care of each other and ignore the clowns. And
prepare for the future because it's gonna
Yes.
be it's gonna get rough.
yes. Yes.
And don't forget your what comes after the First Amendment. All right. I think that pretty much does it,
That's
homies.
what I said.
The right.
Tool up.
Catch you.
Meow, 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 meow.